Hi, just really quick before the video starts, just want to let you know that this was not the intended version to go out. Premiere kept like crashing on me, and I couldn't get like a good render of it, so I had to do a few workarounds with it. So sorry if the quality is bad. I apologize, but I really wanted to get this video out, so please enjoy. Superheroes, the number one source of inspiration for kids around the world. And while how we receive these superheroes has changed throughout the years, their impact is undeniable. Starting back in 1936 with The Phantom, superheroes have exploded across the globe, with major characters like Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman leading the charge. These characters are so ingrained with society that just a few colors could represent them. As society has moved forward to more progressive values, superheroes have followed close behind, introducing new characters that represent everyone across the world. Kind of. I am Asian. Well, according to this DNA test, I'm 20% Peruvian, 12% African American, 18% white, and 50% Korean. When I grew up, I didn't see my representation in media for a while. I watched anime, and it told me that these people were Asian, but these guys didn't look like me. I watched cartoons and TV, but never really thought, wow, that guy's just like me. I want to be just like him. My representation in media came in the form of kung fu movies. These were guys who looked like me and were the coolest thing I'd ever seen. Bruce Lee, of course, became an idol in my eyes, and honestly paved the way for Asian American representation. And while his impact on cinema was outstanding, he may have left too big an impact. As I got older, I started recognizing a pattern in Asian representation. Martial arts and Asian people had essentially become intertwined in media. If a character was Asian, there was a 90% chance that they knew martial arts. But looking around at my peers and family, no one really seemed to mind. Kung Fu is badass, let's keep it real. It's really not one of the worst stereotypes to have. Especially for a scrawny kid like me, I may have just made it through school based on the fact that kids thought I might spinning heel kick them if they pressed me too much. It was confusing. I loved seeing Asian representation in the media, but I was always just a bit disappointed that the Asian guy, once again, was just a Kung Fu guy. Along with Kung Fu, their personalities didn't differ much either. These were characters that looked like me, sure, but I couldn't relate to them. I'd seen characters like Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and the Hulk, all with cool and unique powers that really had no correlation to their race. Ironically, one of the earliest martial arts heroes was white. What was even more frustrating to me was that even if the hero isn't a martial arts guy, it was just a reskin of a previous superhero. I'm looking at you, Amadeus Cho. God, that name sucks. That's almost as bad as Cho Chang. Then came Invincible, a show about an Asian American superhero with struggles that were more in line with modern times. Asian representation has focused a lot on discrimination and struggle to fit into culture, and while those ideas are important and those stories need to be told, it was refreshing to see a world where none of that mattered. We had a superhero who stood for the world, and not just one group of people. But this time the world was represented much better. Author Robert Kirkman said, "Especially in my early days, as a dumb white person, you find that your default state is, this character starts as white." Kirkman said, "So it was good to be more mindful of that, and to have the opportunity to bring the diversity into the series that, frankly, should have been there from the very beginning." He also stated that with the dominance of white authors in the 80s through the 2000s, at the end of the day, you don't really have a book that necessarily represents the population of the country or the world. So with the release of the Invincible animated show, Kirkman was able to create a world that represented everyone, and this time, for real. There was no agenda, no ham-fisted propaganda, just a more real representation of the world. A world full of color. I think this approach to filling the world more realistically is an enormous step in the right direction for cinema and media across the world. This isn't a story just for Asian people. It's a story that includes everyone. That's why Invincible is so important. It's a story anyone can relate to. You don't have to be Asian to understand where Grayson struggles. It's a story about a high school kid who's just trying to get his life together. He just so happens to be Asian. I think representation in media is not about shoving an entire culture into one character, but letting different types of people have a chance at the spotlight. Invincible is a show about never giving up. It's a show about standing against unbeatable foes, and it's a show about strength through all odds. And these values are simple and are overdone, and I know. It just feels good to know that someone who looks like me can also represent them. Within this new generation, there's new struggles for people all over. You may be a certain ethnicity, but have no connection to your culture or anything around it. And that's okay. It's okay not to live up to whatever crazy aspirations people may have had for you. You just have to remember to keep moving forward. And while I believe culture is important, I think what may be more important is unity. If everyone can be a hero that stands for the same things, maybe we'll realize we're not so different after all. Maybe we'll realize that we're all just trying to get our lives together. I think, just maybe, if we realize one another's struggles throughout race, class, or creed, together, we might just be. Thank you for watching, and happy Asian Pacific Heritage Month. Stay safe, guys.